POW camps on that side of Berlin. What Stalin did and his Red Army, what they did is they set those prisoners aside, the other Allied prisoners, English, American. They set them aside because Stalin wanted his boys back. Because of what was going on, it was difficult, obviously, if you were in the Red Army, the Russian army. And the Russian civilians, they did not want to be a part of it. So there was a mass exodus. As Russia started to move into the German and France areas, their people were literally making a dash toward the Allied lines on the other side so they can turn themselves in to get what they needed: food, clothing, freedom. Of these people that the Red Army repatriated, they held them back. Again, around numbers, I'm using 20,000. They came to Ike and Churchill, and he said, I want my deserters back, and I want the millions of plus, numbers huge, of civilians that exited my country. I want them back. It was a long, very difficult decision, to say the least, for Mr. Eisenhower and Mr. Churchill, but the answer was no. And those 20,000 plus Allied personnel, POWs, former POWs, were then, from being repatriated, were taken back into Russia, and they lived out their life in the Gulag. There were some alive all the way in through the late 90s, if you're not aware of it. And we let them there. We let them stay there. Korea. Well, let me give you the number there. Russia, right now, excuse me, World War II, the number in World War II right now, 73,118 still unaccounted for from World War II. Those are MIAs from World War II. That's DOD. That's their number. DOD, Department of Defense, sorry. Korean War, similar situation. China was involved. We were trying not to engage with China. We were trying to make this a Korean War. And we were trying not to engage with China because that would bring in, obviously, would bring Russia back into the fight. Eisenhower, who was the decision maker, he was the commanding general of the Allied forces. 6 years earlier, he's now the president. At the end of the Korean War in '53, similar situation. We have, and we want, were the statements made to Ike, and the answer again, unfortunately, was no. 7,782 right now today, 7,782 from the Korean War, still unaccounted for. With the start of the Korean War and then the end, which never really came, if you're not aware, we never settled that war. There is no peace treaty for that particular war. It was an agreement because we couldn't agree on one issue specifically, and that issue was POWs. So that was just a ceasefire, and it has been in existence ever since, and that's why you read about it all the time. That's why you see our boys standing on one side of the 38th parallel, looking halfway across a walkway, with half their body shielded by the wall, looking at the other half, because the war still goes on. 7,000 plus American soldiers on that side of the line. Most of them, we feel, we know, our communications through DOD and et cetera, they were moved. They're not in Korea all. They went to China, they went to Russia. Similar as World War II. Cold War. Any thoughts on the Cold War? That's a name you haven't heard in a long time, probably. 126 American soldiers from the Cold War, still unaccounted for. And you can guess where they're at, or where they were. Vietnam? At the end of the Vietnam era in '73, when the peace treaty was finally signed in Paris, our military, our DOD, we went to Hanoi with expectations of right at 1,200, looking to bring home 1,200 American military personnel who we believe were captured at some point during that war. Anybody know what we walked away with? Close. A little less. 591. 591. We walked away with 591 out of 1,200. If you're not familiar with the term last known alive, I share with you, you won't hear it in the film, but there are American soldiers today that are still being held by enemies of this country. Some from Korea, some from Vietnam. Documented in the congressional records. We'll talk about it at the end. I have the books up here where you can hear about it, you can read about it, excuse me, not hear about it, of what we actually know. Current war. You believe we have any POWs from the current war? Iraq, Afghanistan? MIAs? Don't hear about it, do you? On the books, it's 6. 6 right now, unaccounted for. We believe it's 12. My message here, POW MIA, the message here today, we can't forget. This is someone's son, someone's husband, someone's daughter, someone's child. In the Korean situation, we're talking 60 years of some sort of captivity. 45 plus years, Vietnam, Southeast Asia, some sort of captivity. They're still there. I speak all over the country and I have the opportunity, and the question comes every day. Do you believe, Mo? Do you believe they're still there? And my answer every day, yes, they are. They're still there. And we need not to forget. We need not to forget. It is our job. The government works for us. This is not a political speech. The government works for us. It's our government. It's our military. And if we don't make a noise, what happened in 45, what happened in 53, what happened in 73 will happen again and again and again. We have to be together. We have to be united. We have to be responsible citizens. Our boys and girls earned the right to come home. Every soldier, may I see, just show of hands before we get started, those who have served in the military? Thank you. Thank you. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did you not, when you signed on, did you not believe that that contract was up to and including your life? Not written in the contract, but like you, I believe that. And did you not also believe that a contract afforded you the right to come home, dead or alive? I'll say the number again. 83,000 American soldiers, unaccounted for since 1945. Sir?
How many are still alive? Considered to be still alive?
We have two sources as far as numbers. In Southeast Asia, where we're focusing a lot of our efforts right now, initially, before a month ago, the number was right at 59. That has been decreased to almost single digits. We believe they're giving us a number, I think it's 19, 18, is what they're saying. They cannot prove those yet. And so they are trying. Because, and this again, not a political situation, it's just because someone in our government, we're speaking specifically here, DOD, Department of Defense, just because they say they're not there anymore, I'm sharing with you that we have documentation and other stuff to help you see otherwise. We believe they're still there. Thank you for the question. Are we about ready to watch film? This film's this gentleman right up here. If you don't know this gentleman, where'd he go? He's quick. He's over here. I must have been standing the other way. Mr. Mike Rothfeld. Mike is our, he's local. He lives right here in St. Johns County, and he has, over the years, has done an excellent job with his team and his method. He has produced this film and several others that have been shown here this weekend. And he brought together, it goes back 10 years now, and he started the effort trying to pull former prisoners of war together, specifically from our neighborhood, if you will, and do a story about them. And this is what you're about to see. This particular gentleman, I commented, I can't give him the floor because I'll never get it back. But Chief Bill Ingram is part of the story, and I think you'll find it interesting. Let me find our projectionist. We don't have any other additional questions right now.